Brushing teeth with Robert. 4/11/20. Welcome to the live Saturday podcast. I don't know if anybody is going to be watching, but I figure I'd go ahead and try another live one just in case. That's the Chats with Smoko. It's great band from Australia. If you've never heard of them, you should, because they're fantastic. I made notes again. Who does that? I do. So welcome to the middle of the quarantine. We're doing well. I think everybody is doing okay out there so far. I still don't know one person. I still don't know one person that has it. I don't. By the way, cheers. Saturday night. So my voice sounds horrible because it is a rainy Saturday evening in Dallas, Oak Cliff, Texas. We're still doing it. We're still social distancing. We're still quarantined inside of our house. We seem to be doing all right so far. So good for us. I have a feeling that there are people are falling into two categories right now. There are either a lot of fat alcoholics that are happening, or there are a lot of home gym CrossFitters that are hooking it up. So there is definitely about to be a master race of athleticism that is going to dominate those of us that are just basically drinking our way through it. So welcome. It is coming up on Easter Sunday. I guess there's no churches going on. And if you are going to church, you're a fucking idiot. And I would normally say that from a anti-religious standpoint, but I am definitely not saying it from that standpoint. I'm saying it from the standpoint of stay away from crowds of people. Idiots. I mean, let's say this. Let's say this isn't real. Let's say this is just a bad flu season. It's a different kind of flu. Let's even go down the conspiratorial path for a second. Let's say this is like a created psyop or something. Still don't go be around people. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice to not be around people? It is. It is. It's nice to not be around people. So don't go do it for a while. It's either become fat and lazy and watch Game of Thrones like I am, or work out. Celebrate Jesus by working out. I'm sure Jesus would love that. Jesus would love it if you worked out. So it has been a kind of an off and on week, I think, for weather in Texas. We've had some unbelievably beautiful weather, and we've had some unbelievably crappy weather. As you know, I will be looking down on my phone because of my notes, so just ignore this faux pas. This is a one-man show here, and you're welcome for that. You're welcome for that, because that means that we connect. We connect. You know what I've gotten into lately? This stylus thing for my phone. It seems stupid because I'm telling you this right now. Look at this. Look how bad my hand. Oh, you can't even see. It's too bright. My handwriting is horrible. It's the worst. I'm actually really surprised that I can even read it. I truly am. But I do like it. I'm getting in tune with technology. I did a little Wi-Fi amplifier. So doing this live, I'm going to see how many interruptions are in it, how many times my voice sounds robotic, and if it continues to do that, this will be the last live one. I'll just record them and do it that way, because I didn't like the last live one. I didn't like the quality of it. I have to be honest with you, and I doubt you liked it either, because there were times when it was very choppy and buffering. So what are we watching out there? There's so much to watch, and I'm sure we're all just watching Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad. I'm fairly certain that's what's going on. Speaking of which, am I the last person on earth that hasn't seen Parasite? I don't even know what it's about. I mean, I know it's Japanese, right? It's a Japanese flick, but that's all I know. I don't know really anything else about it. I don't know. I thought it was about some kind of like coronavirus type of thing, but I guess it's not. I mean, I don't know. I do not know. Again, haven't watched it. I hear it's on Hulu. I might watch it tonight, but who knows? I might just go to sleep. Might just go to sleep. I have a feeling that I am not the only person that has a almost like a permanent divot in their bed from where they are laying all the time. I hope I'm not. I hope that I'm not the only one who's just sitting on his ass the entire time during this. I have been doing yard work. I've been getting some stuff done around the house. I've been trying my best to support small businesses by ordering food to go. Boy, that Uber Eats and Grubhub and GoPuff could not have come around at a better time, right? I mean, they came around at the perfect time. It's almost as if they could like predict that something was going to happen that was going to cause us all to be shut-ins. It works out well though. It works out well, and I've been ordering a lot of food from a lot of different places. Cooking at home is nice, but it sure is awesome to have some of your favorite restaurants just deliver food. So do that. Do that. Support your local restaurants. They deserve it because Lord knows they are having a very, very, very rough time. They truly are. So if anybody knows anything about Parasite and they want to let me know, please feel free to text me or call me or just don't and let me guess at what it is. Because I hear it's great. Everybody's ranting and raving about it. Everybody thinks it's like the greatest thing in the world. So if you want to spoil it for me, go ahead, as my friends do. Allergies are horrible this season, by the way. I don't know where you are in the country. I think mostly everybody who is listening to me or watching this is generally in Texas. Yes, Upshaw. I have heard of this Breaking Bad. I hear it's about a chemistry teacher, right? It follows a chemistry teacher in high school. Dick. So enjoy the shows you're watching. I'm going through Game of Thrones again for the probably 9th time in my entire life. I'm not going to tell you where I am because 100% of people have seen it. Well, I take that back. I found one friend the other day who has not watched Game of Thrones. And I was astounded because I really thought she was a shut-in mom and had seen everything as well. So, that whiskey's good today. I have realized things about the internet because, of course, I'm sure we are all spending a ton of time on the internet. I have realized that let's say this pandemic was actually a true pandemic. And let's say it was killing off everybody in the world. All right. I am fairly certain I've come to this observation. How come nobody told me about Reddit? How come nobody told me this thing existed? It's been a humongous time waster. It has been a huge time waster. I enjoy it. And there's so many things on it. There are so many things on. I'm gonna make a couple recommendations for things for you to look at on Reddit. But let's start here, which is that I'm fairly certain that if this was a true pandemic and killing off everybody, that if there was one woman and one man left, she would be posting herself nude on Reddit, and he would be sending her unsolicited dick pics. I'm fairly certain about that. It seems like everybody's naked on Reddit. There's so many naked people on Reddit. I mean, I'm all right with it. I'm okay with it. By the way, don't search me. I'm not naked on Reddit. Okay. No. Tumblr, I am. So if my Tumblr account is still around and you feel like you want to see my dong, trust me, it is on Tumblr. It is all over Tumblr. All right. So, but Reddit is Reddit's odd. It's odd. There's so much. You can get super, super lost. I spent a almost an entire day on a subreddit called Public Freakouts. Public Freakouts faceless poop pics. Speaking of which, okay, all right, no, I'm going to come around to boob pics real quick on Reddit. Put your face in them. Put your face in them. If you're willing to show your titties, you got to be willing to show your face. I mean, come on, man. A good boob pic is not really a good boob pic unless there's a face in it. I get it. Like a good boob pic without a face is like a mediocre boob pic. Let's be honest. All right. Public Freakouts. The subreddit Public Freakouts is so great. Oh my God. Wow. It's so good. It's so good. It's really just people screaming about nonsense and a lot of crack addicts naked in the middle of city streets. Just a ton of them. Like, does crack and heroin or something and getting naked in the middle of a city street, does that, do those come hand in hand with each other? I mean, they obviously do, because there's a ton of those videos on Public Freakouts. Public Freakouts is great. Is great. And boy, they are not joking. White women and black women, they will freak out. They'll throw things at you in a restaurant. They will. They don't care whether it's a Popeyes or it's a McDonald's. Like, older black women, older white women, they love getting angry in fast food restaurants. They truly do. It's all over Public Freakouts. Also, why were they filming? The subreddit Why Were They Filming is astounding, because I never catch anything like that when I'm randomly filming. I never catch like two police cars wrecking into each other, or like a trash, one of those trash trucks, one of those garbage trucks on fire in the middle of the city. Like, I never catch that. Why Were They Filming is phenomenal. It's a great subreddit. I highly recommend it. I wasted quite a few hours on that one as well. And then, as we all know, and I don't know why I've gone back down this rabbit hole, but I have, which is the hold my beer kind of stuff, like the fails. I do not know how I ended up going back down this whole like fail thing, but they're great. Like, people will fuck themselves up. Like, they will mess themselves up. Whether on a bike or what, and it's always like trying to show off, and that's why I don't try to show off anymore. Physically, I am too old first of all, too old to be trying to show off at all in any way, shape, or form. Like, whether it's trying to do a cartwheel, or whether it's like jumping on a pole and pretending to pole dance, or on a bike and going off a curb. Speaking of which, if my son watches this, you can tell that story about the time I went off the curb. I'm not going to spoil it here. If he ends up calling in, I'll let him tell it, because it's a great, great story. Yeah, and basically it's Hold My Cosmos is a good one, because it's nothing but women after a brunch just demolishing themselves. Oh my God. So many wrecked faces. So many wrecked faces on Hold My Cosmo. Like, women after brunch, boy, y'all know how to face plant. Y'all will face plant into something. It's Hold My Cosmo is great. It literally is nothing but girls after brunch, or girls at clubs just wrecking themselves because they decide they want to like dance down the street. Don't dance down the street. No adult should ever dance down the street. It doesn't matter how good of a mood you're in. Do not dance down the street. Dance in your backyard. That's what TikTok is for. No reason for you to go dancing in the middle of the street, because you know what's going to happen? You're going to hit a sign with your face. That's what's going to happen. Or you're going to trip over your high heels. Whoever thinks they should dance in high heels in the middle of the street is the worst. Like, don't do that. If I saw somebody doing that in public, regardless of whether they wreck themselves or not, I would go, why you're an adult? Why are you doing that? Just walk. Walk like a normal person. Walk like a normal drunk person. I've done it a million times. Even walking like a normal drunk person in high heels is begging to destroy yourself. It truly is. And then the other subreddit is hold my fries. Hold my fries is phenomenal. Hold my fries is basically little kids eating shit. And as we all know, I hate little kids. I despise kids. Kids ruin everything. They ruin movies. They ruin your life. They ruin your finances. So it's so much fun to see them just get wrecked. It's so much fun to see them face plant. It's so much fun to see them like fall off into the water. Oh my god, it's so great. Like I've applauded. I literally like applauded. Have you ever looked at a little kid and like you don't even know the little kid, but you look at the little kid and you know he's an asshole? Like he's the kind of little kid like you see in a restaurant and you go, God, I hope he falls. I just want him to fall so bad. Well, hold my fries is that wish come true all the time. It's great. It's a great subreddit. I highly suggest you go check it out. So let's recap. Public freakouts. Why were they filming? Hold my fries. Hold my cosmos. Great subreddits. Highly suggest you go to them. Reddit is great. Reddit is great. It's phenomenal. I never got into a 4chan. I think it's what the kids did at one point. I never really ever got into that. So I imagine, at least from when I saw my son getting on Reddit, getting on 4chan, I imagine Reddit is fairly similar. You know, it's just a bunch of people trying to one up each other in the comments, and a bunch of videos of people eating shit. So I don't know why I never got into 4chan, but I obviously should have. So if you noticed the shirt I'm wearing, it's Hogwild Records. It is my favorite record store in San Antonio. I know that they are probably struggling right now. So I'm going to prop them up, whether they want to be included in it or not. If you need to buy any music, please mail order from them. It is the best record store in the world, in my opinion, especially if you like metal. If you like metal, you know that San Antonio loves its metal. And you should also know that Hogwild is just chock full of great metal albums, and the staff there knows everything you could know about new metal, all the way back to going to Bread, if nobody knows, or Budgie. If nobody knows who that is, you should look them up because they're fantastic. They do a song called Bread Fan that is a very deep cut, and you should listen to that song tonight. It's a great metal song, and it's kind of at the beginnings of metal. So try them out, Hogwild Records. I'm trying to do as much as I can to hype up any local business that I know is probably having a hard time, and I would imagine that they are probably having a little bit of a rough time in this. So Hogwild, if at any time somebody buys something from you that sees this podcast, you are welcome, because I love you. I would live in that store. You know what? If I ever moved to San Antonio, I would be poor and work there. I would love to have a job there because I've been going there since early 90s. So I love them. So take a look at them. Goulet. So let's see. What else do I have in my notes? Oh, yeah. So I have a question. And this does come back around to Game of Thrones. Is midget such a bad word? Is it? Is midget or dwarf such a bad word? And this is the reason I'm saying this, because I heard a while back that they like to be called little people. And to me, I mean, again, I'm not a midget or a dwarf or a little person, but am I wrong in thinking that little person seems way more demeaning than midget or dwarf? I remember, I hate to bring up the story, but I remember in high school we had a midget or a little person or whatever they're called that went to my high school, and my one of my really good friends, Chris Bugler, he used to say that if we grabbed him, put him on a locker, that he'd have to show us his pot of gold. Now, I would like to say I'm way more sensitive now than I was then. All right. So I look back on it and it was funny then. It's kind of funny now, but I don't understand. I don't get it. Midget or dwarf seems way nicer than a little person. Little person seems like you're half a person. At least midget and dwarf has like a novelty to it, I will also, by the way, admit this: if there is any midget or dwarf or little person listening, y'all have nice asses. Like little people have really nice, like they have built-in like nice asses. What is that? I guess that's a genetic thing that comes with being a midget or a dwarf. But they're like that. Like that ass, like even like a out of shape midget has like a really, really, really nice ass. I don't. I guess it's part of that whole situation of being born like that. But they do. Even like the guy midgets like have really nice asses. So you could bounce a fucking quarter off the midget ass. So I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but it is true. It is absolutely true. So I don't like using. I do not like using the term little person. But I don't know what else to call them. I don't know. I guess I mean, I guess you could say midget, but midget seems so much more correct. Like little person seems like you're just not a whole person. And trust me, you have midgets. If you're out there, you have a nice enough ass. You are a whole person to me. It takes very little to be a whole person to me. A nice ass, you're automatically a good person to me. Okay, you're automatically a whole person if you have a nice ass, whether you're a midget or not, whether you're a grown ass person. In fact, if you have a nice ass, you're more of a person than most people to me. All right. So I mean, somebody explain that to me, please explain that to me. I feel like midget is a better term. So I wanted to bring up a little bit of a personal situation since we're at the 23-minute mark and I don't seem to go much longer. I don't seem to go much longer than 30 minutes. So I would like to bring up a personal situation in this entire quarantining that's going on right now. All right. Because I feel like I can relate a personal story about my year of 2020, because as we all know, it has sucked. It has. I'm not going to tiptoe. I'm not going to dance around it. I'm not going to pretend like it hasn't. We thought 2019 was a rough year, but let's be honest, 2020 has been very rough. So I want to relate a story about my optimism of 2020. And anybody will tell you that I am not normally a very positive person in any way, shape, or form. But I am positive that 2020 is going to turn itself around. And by saying that, I want to relate how my 2020 has gone. All right. So as we know, I am broadcasting from Dallas, Texas, in Oak Cliff. I just moved here about a year and a half ago. I lived in Austin for a little over 25 years. And I've never lived farther than 45 minutes from my parents. And so this is the first time. And if anybody has ever By the way, I don't care. It's my podcast. I'll do what I want. And if I have to pick my eyes, I will. If I've never lived farther than 45 minutes from my parents. So I moved to North Texas. And for anybody watching this out of state, Texas is fucking huge. It's big. Like it takes 12 hours to get from El Paso to Texarkana. Like it's huge. It's humongous. It's the size of Europe. It truly is. And so moving to North Texas after living in Austin, and my parents live in the Hill Country, and me being 45 minutes away from them for a huge majority of my life is a very big deal. And I kind of burnt down my previous life. I really did. I didn't do my previous life any justice, because I really did burn every bridge in Austin and just moved the hell away. So in doing that, not only did I do that, but then I moved far away from my parents. And I used to go see my parents all the time. They're right around the corner from me. Was not far to see them, and I do miss them dearly. So in doing that, also, this is what happened in 2020. So the first thing is that at the very beginning of 2020, my father had a stroke. So my dad Ernie had a stroke, and he had a stroke literally right into his retirement. Well, into his retirement. He was starting his own business, but he had decided to do that on that Friday. He put in for his retirement. That Tuesday, he had a stroke. So now here I am before this whole quarantine hits. Here I am now, 4 hours away from my parents, and my father has had a stroke. So I can't I'm running to go see him when I can at this point, sometimes twice in a week. Sometimes I am leaving Austin because he was in a hospital in Austin, and I'm driving straight into work. I'm leaving Austin at 3 a.m. and driving straight into work at 7:30. So of course now this coronavirus thing hits, and they kicked my mom out of the hospital, and she was doing great, by the way. She was a trooper. Like she was spending nights there, like just spending nights there, entire nights there. They had a bed in his room and everything. And then one day, of course, they come to her and they have to kick her out because non-essentials are there. So nobody has been to see my dad, been able to actually see him in quite a few weeks. Now, before we awe this situation and bust out the Sarah McLachlan with the dogs behind the cages, kind of tear things, I would like to say this. My dad is doing fantastic. He goes home on Monday. He sounds like himself. Of course, he's not getting around as well. He is a little confused. But there are facets of him that are not him, and I'll tell you why. Because I brought up the fact that when he was in his in a state of coma, he was on a floor with nothing but hot nurses, and I brought this up to him because I would stay the night there, and I had brought this up to him, and normally my dad would be like, "Oh, hey boy, well, tell me what the titties look like." But my dad did not say that. He was not concerned with the size of his nurse's titties at all, which, if anybody knows my dad, is a weird thing, because my dad is always concerned with the size of people's titties. So I have now moved to a strange city in which I knew hardly anybody. I am far away from my parents. My father's had a stroke. And I learned the other day that my real mother, who I've been estranged from for a very long time, has brain cancer. So this is how 2020 has treated me: coronavirus, stroke, brain cancer. But even So I have been estranged from my mom for a very, very, very long time. There's good reason for it. Don't ask, because I'm not gonna fucking tell you, because this is my personal fucking business. So fuck off. But I will tell you that I'm still concerned. Of course I'm concerned. Of course I'm concerned. It's not like I'm gonna run and go see her, but when everybody I know to be happy and healthy. So in 2020, on top of my father having a stroke, then this coronavirus thing, then hearing that my mother has brain cancer, 2020 has been hard. It's been hard. It's been rough. I'm sure there's a ton of people who've had a harder 2020, but I'm just trying to relate it to myself and let you know that even with all that, that this is going to be over soon. We're going to get on with our year. It's going to happen. All right. We're going to we're going to get past all of this, including the strokes and the brain cancer and all that, and not being able to talk to my dad about the size of nurse's titties. Like, all that is going to eventually move on. And so 2020 could, it's a rough one. It's a rough one for a lot of people. But think about this. We have been able to catch up on Breaking Bad. We've been able to catch up on Game of Thrones. Been able to do our lawns. Been able to do housework. Been able to spend time with our families or our friends or our significant others. We've been able to get closer to being home. We haven't been out there, again, like I said in my last podcast, spending money on arbitrary bullshit. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. All right. We're doing well. We're doing well. So keep that in mind. I wouldn't have started this podcast had not 2020 hit. I would not have done that. And I'm glad I did. I'm truly, truly, truly glad I did. I'm glad that some of y'all are listening. Speaking of which, shameless plug. Cheers. Since some of y'all are tuning in, by the way, I would love to know why the first podcast has more views than my later podcast. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. We should absolutely, I should have more views as this thing goes. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. Really, honestly, if only 12 of y'all take a look at this, I'm happy. I was going to say something. Oh, yeah. All the different things that are happening to us in this situation. I want you to keep this in mind. It could be worse. We could be way, way, way worse in this. All right. So keep your head up. Support local businesses. Support your doctors and nurses. Wear a mask in public. Do all those things. And thank you. Subscribe to this podcast. I'm going to continue doing it. I'm hoping it will get better. I know this is very sparse and very bare behind me, but it will get better. There will be decorating going on. It will evolve. All right. And I will continue to try to entertain you with things like talking about midgets' asses. I know you did not realize you were missing that component. Trust me, I know you did not realize it, but you were missing somebody that was going to talk about midgets' asses. You did. So thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy. 4/11/20. Brushing teeth with Robert. I want to say one more thing before I go. Logan, don't ever forget that you owe me money. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe. Brushing Teeth with Robert. Thank you for tuning in.